And how you all doing? And we're back for another episode of Gears of Trust. And I'm your host, Maynard and Cam, if you don't know that already. New podcast for mechanics by mechanics about mechanics and other tradesmen. We do talk to welders. Sometimes we talk to welders in public. We do talk to electricians. They have to be really good electricians, though. And like I just talked with my friend Cam here, I did let my standards slip the other day, and I've got a well, I don't know how to say this. I've got a pipe fitter's wife going to do a Christmas special with me too. It's already recorded, so that should be a lot of fun. But tonight we're going to bring it open here, and the topic for tonight's podcast or today's podcast is going to be union versus non-union lines and service departments and other places we have worked. My friend here, Cam Dunbar, we call him Cam. His name's Cameron. What's called is I'm going to get him to introduce himself to us, and I'd like to thank Cam right off the bat for coming to Gears of Trust and having a session with me. So it'd be pretty cool. So Cam, I'll let you take it away, buddy.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, my name's Cameron Dunbar. Been a mechanic since I started the trades in 2012 when I got out of high school, and slowly worked my way through my apprenticeship, jumping up through oil field construction, forestry, and then I decided I wanted to be smart and go work on Chemworths up in uh, Kindersley
Highway
and all
guy,
that good
highway
area.
guy.
Yeah, and then well, of course, 2014 happened, and oil dropped below $20 a barrel there for a while. So, as an apprentice, you throw out a lot of resumes. If I recall correctly, it was 49 resumes later, and I found myself
49
an ag
resumes.
tech. Yeah, it was
Wow.
49 resumes in Calgary and surrounding area, Red Deer, all around, and found myself at a Kubota dealer. And went ag to finish off for my red seal on an off road. Since then, what was it, 2017? I was a fresh journeyman. I might as well be an apprentice at that point, and I decided to go and jump into mining because it was the only way to make any decent dollar. I mean, there was that mine out by Hannah, Alberta there, and I
Yeah,
remember
what's that?
sitting down with the supervisor there and the shop lead or whatever, and they told me the wage, and my jaw dropped. It was like 65 an hour, and
Yeah.
my jaw dropped, and I'm like, okay, well, what's the shift? And they said it's a rotating shift. It's okay, you know, 5 days on, nights on, that kind of thing. So no, it's constantly rotating. So you're 2 days on, 1 day off, 3 nights on, 1 day off, and I'm like, nope. There's a good
Can't
reason
do
why there's
that.
that many liquor stores in Hannah, Alberta. So I decided to take my chances and
Wow.
go out to the Elk Valley. And I worked for SMS there for a number of years, and then went up to I transferred through the union over to Kamloops, and from then I built a bunch of 830s, did a bunch of high voltage stuff up in Copper Mountain, and then found myself looking for something different. So I managed to get myself a decent job over at uh, Gachagway for De Beers and Diamonds,
Oh
and
wow.
I've been working there ever since. So I went
Oh,
from heavy union to completely non-union and just see what you can do. So that's
wild.
why
Okay.
it's nice
So
to talk about
so
this stuff.
that's why you want to talk about this subject. That's really weird. I guess I got
Yeah.
to back you up a little bit, Cam. So, how do you actually find out about the Gears of Trust podcast? And by the way, folks, I never mentioned. I meant to mention at the start. We're on Apple Podcast now. I'll be uploading episodes. We're on Spotify. We're on this, that, and the other thing. YouTube has now a podcast channel with me as well. So there's no reason you guys should be tuning in. Direct communication with me, the easiest way is to get me on Facebook. I'm on X. I'm on True Social. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. Right? So no reason you can't get a hold of me. But Cam, I'm going to tweak it back again, buddy. How did you find out about Gears to Trust?
Well, a mutual friend of ours there, Scott, uh, actually had it come up on his Facebook reel, and during coffee there, I think it was our last night shift about a week ago. Said, up, screw it, let's go up to the shop and let's see what it's all about. So we sat there and watched your first video there with the other Mater tech you did. You worked beside there. I can't remember what
Yeah,
his name
yeah,
is, but you guys, yeah, it was your first video. So I was
yeah.
talking to Scott about you, and I asked some questions. He said, "Well, shit, why don't you just fucking shoot him a message?" So
Shoot
fuck
a
it,
message,
shot you a message, and here I am. You
There
know.
we go, eh?
So
So yeah,
yeah, here we are.
Sean Stefanuti. Yeah, he's
Pretty much, yeah.
yeah, no, that's bang. Sean, we just started working together that set before, so and then we get chit chat. And he says, "Geez, I'll hop on your podcast." I said, "Okay, let's give her." So cool. So
Yeah, you bet.
let's go into the union. So what do you think? Pros, cons, what? Like, take me away
Well,
here, my
I think
friend.
like I went from non-union to union, and immediately right off the hop, as a junior coming in, you get told about seniority. And when you're young and you're eager and you just get into something, you really want to just prove yourself and make a shit ton of money.
Yep.
And you make good money when you go from making, 98,000 a year, even when you're just making base at 140, 150,000 when you're coming from ag to mining or even on
Yep.
road to mining, right? So you get pretty happy at it, but I think it was a real eye opener when um, you start posting for jobs or you start asking for overtime, and they just say, "Well, check your blue book," and they give you this union book, which at that time when you first look at it, you're like, "Oh, that's such fucking bullshit. Why do I need to
Yeah.
read this shit? What does this have to do with me? I'm just asking for overtime." Well, seniority and all that other garbage that well, I'm here and I'm ready to do it. Oh no, we have to call through the list and all this other shit
Yeah.
and make sure that it's all equal so that nobody's getting more paid than the other, and you have a tap out and all that other shit. So
Yeah.
it's it's definitely something that it wasn't like when you first get into a union, the union side of
Yeah.
things is not explained. Like when I had my first incident,
So the first
I
time
didn't even
you
know I
were,
was supposed to
so
have was
I'm gonna
go ahead.
throttle you back here a little bit. So the
Yeah,
first time you went to work for a union, you that was an SMS deal with it
yeah, you
when
bet. Yeah, that was
when
with
you so
SMS.
you went from ag to mining,
Yep,
and so that's first experience with a union.
you bet. Yeah,
So
yeah,
basically you come at it with the same mindset of being in the ag world or the highway world where you had to haul ass and
yeah.
prove yourself, right?
Pretty much, man. You work your ass off, and that's just the way it is. Like, there's no sitting at for coffee time when you get paid to be sitting for 15 minutes. You're
Yeah.
there for a half hour when you're in mining. You just take your three coffees, and that's just the work, right? Especially when you're in the union in BC, your three coffees are paid for. And
Yeah.
it is law that you take your coffees. And if that supervisor comes up and talks to you, that clock just resets and you start your coffee again. And if your union steward sees you not doing that, he's gonna have words. So it's quite
So the
entertaining in
union
that sense when you're a real
so the
hard ass,
union steward's going to come see you if you don't take your coffee breaks.
right? Yeah, you betcha. Yeah, if he ever does, which I only saw my union steward once. So it was a bit of a pain in the ass in that sense. And that was just that all that had to do with pertain was with that Elkford. Like Elkford's such a huge branch
Yeah.
that I mean you're a remote branch basically, right? You show up, you get dispatched, you're gone, right? There's no
Yeah.
shop work really.
So yeah, so you're off to whatever mine type needs you that day, right? Be it trucks or
Yeah,
dozers or shovels or whatever. Did you get
yeah,
any
pretty
shovel
much. I mean,
time on that stuff? Or shovels are my game, right? I love shovels, but so you're just trucks
it's
and tracks,
it's
or did you get any diggers in or what all or
it's funny you say that. So they're all running cable shovels. And it's very unusual for an SMS tech to be thrown onto
a
a
rope shovel?
P&H shovel or
Yeah.
a, Bucyrus shovel. I only saw one 5500 at Fording River, and
Yeah, it's
it was
Hitachi, yeah.
unlikely for us
Okay.
to even touch that, right? So,
Yeah.
for me, it was I was real green into the game, so I was sent to Elkview or Green Hills. I was working on dozers, 830s, 980s, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
For the first little bit, and then the postings thing. So I was dying to just start getting some overtime, right?
Yeah.
When you're in the
Yeah.
posting, you get first dibs on the overtime. So that's the way to beat that seniority poll. So I got it was a shitty shift, but I got a straight nights 12 and 12, and I was strictly Green Hills truck shop. Or sorry,
Oh, yes
Elkview
way.
truck shop.
Outfield truck
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah, Elkview truck shop. So I was there for about a year, straight nights, and it fucking sucked. Like to this
Yeah.
day, I still hate nights. I'm still coming off nights after my last set, and it fucking sucks.
Yeah. Oh, you're still
And
coming
then,
off?
oh
We
yeah,
we
no,
came off we came off nights opposite, right? I came off the nights. So when I
nice.
talked to you initially, I was on days off, but it took me 7 days to get back to night. 7 days
Yeah,
to get back off of nights. Yeah.
yeah. Tomorrow is my 7 days, and I'm pretty much kind of getting to it. Like I woke up at
Yeah.
3 a.m. this morning, but whatever. So when I finally got off the night shift at Oakview, I finally got a posting on the Fording River, and
Yeah.
I was babysitting 980s. And it was a unique scenario in Fording River where SMS had a contract with Tech that if they needed us for running repair, they'd give us the work order, so on and so forth. We would do running repairs. So
Yeah.
scrapers, graders, 980s, 930s, 830s, whatever. Send it to it. I'll fix it. So great, a shit ton of experience through that, right? But as you know, mine sites go through this just crazy cycle when you're in coal, as is
Yeah.
metallurgic coal. And right near the end of my employment with the Elkford Blanche, it was kind of a bust. And
Yeah.
so we were sitting there for basically 12-hour days. Like I was getting paid 14s because of 1 hour travel each way,
Yeah.
but you're sitting there for 12 hours just
That's
twiddling
hard,
your
isn't it?
fucking thumbs. And it drives you fucking bonkers, man. Like, and it's
Yeah.
all it is union because they're like, nope, this is our site. If we don't want you to work, we're not going to make you work. And that's it. Okay.
Wow.
That's the contract, man. You guys do you because they don't want to lay off their employees. So the contractors get pushed aside and, the mine employees take over. And
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd rather feed my own family before I feed yours. So why would I feed yours? Right.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
it only
Absolutely.
makes
Yeah.
sense to me.
Yeah. The
So
situation I'm in right now is, like we're supplying to a mine, right? And we're just that additional labor. Push comes to shove, we'll get punted out through the gate for a joke, right? As far as that goes. So that's understanding in the contractor world, right? That's the understanding. But
exactly.
ironically, they kind of like us. We're at there right now because of collective agreement that as long as there's contractors here, they can't be denied overtime.
That's right. Yeah.
Ha 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 ha. So if they punt us, then they go back into the progressive picking order for overtime,
Hmm.
right? But right now, basically, it's a free for all overtime. Guys are showing up, and it's nice to have an audience, right?
Yeah.
So when
Um.
in
Oh,
I'm
good.
gonna steal I'm gonna steal this assessment from a guy, Frank. I love you, man. He's going underground. He's with Maynard Mining, and he's a trade up, and he's a really sharp guy. And he kind of concluded that there's a three-stage evolution process in some work sites where guys come in on 3 days and then move to 3 nights and stuff. And at the first day, it's kind of like when the guys come to work. It's kind of like when the chimpanzees and gorillas first found fire, right? They're like like that, and, and then on day two, they kind of learn about tools and start building things, and start to crate. And then on the third day, an asteroid comes. They're fucking gone. Can't find them. That's amazing. So we got hypotheses of fucking evolution there. Where we got three. Have you ever seen anything like that in your goings or what?
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's the mines that I've worked for that I've seen stuff like that where it's just like you say when you get the new batch of guys. I mean, every company, I don't care who it is, they hire in these crazy hiring sprees, and that's when the
Yeah,
first box opens, and you get these crazy monkeys coming in just devouring everything,
yeah,
and then they get comfortable, and then everybody gets greedy. And then next thing you know, we're getting laid off. And that's mining right there, man. Like
yeah.
it doesn't matter if you're with SMS or Mater or Finning. You have Headwater right behind them, ready to take your fucking place, man. They don't care.
Yeah,
As,
yeah,
as
that's
long
right.
as the lowest bidder gets in it, they're gonna get your job. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
The only
isn't that
difference
funny,
is
eh?
warranty and paperwork. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, though. Really,
For
that's a
sure.
good
Yeah,
analogy. So,
for sure.
have you worked? So you've worked in a union capacity. Now you're working for De Beers itself,
That's right.
right?
Actually, I was even a union steward for SMS when I was
Oh,
in
you're
Canada.
actually a
Well,
union steward.
yeah,
So you
yeah. I
went
got.
from you.
Oh, go ahead.
So you were the union steward in charge of motivational techniques with your crew.
I was kind of pissed off at the company, so I decided to be a union steward, if that's the way you want to put it. This was when I transferred to Kamloops, and
Yeah,
I decided I wanted to progress my career in some way, shape, or form. And I was just getting tossed on to the whole running repair gig. I mean, I'm good at it, I guess, but I wanted to advance my career in some way, shape, or form. And the biggest hurdle when you're a tech is one, sometimes you're introverts, and that's me.
yeah,
And you want to become more of an extrovert, learn more people, learn something new. And we've been doing the same trucks. We've been diagnosing the same trucks for 3 years.
yeah.
Shit, man,
The
there's only so
same
much you
fault,
can
say.
touch, right?
Yeah,
Exactly. So I became a union steward because they wouldn't give me a charge hand role. And then next
yeah,
thing you know, I'm that guy, and I'm
yeah.
going into HR meetings and things like that. It it's a dirty role, man. I mean, it's one of those roles where you want to
Greasy,
fight
eh?
for what's right. Yeah, you want
Yeah,
to fight for what's right, but then you get these conversations that like, well, shit, man, what are you doing there? Like, what do you
yeah,
want me to do about that? I can't do anything about that, right?
yeah.
So
You mean from the
it's a juggle.
employer's perspective or the employee? So you're getting union members saying like, "What are you going to do about that?" Or the employer saying, "What are you going to do about that?"
Well, when you're a union steward, you're basically the middleman. You're just basically making that the employee doesn't get fucked over.
Yeah,
So hypothetically, this guy showed up late, right?
yeah,
And now he got pulled in. He's getting a write up, and this is his second time getting a write up. Well, basically, as a union steward, it's okay. Is his disciplinary action, you know, proper? Did
yeah,
they do it properly? And then it's for me to basically tell this guy, "We'll show the fuck up for work." That's
yeah,
it, right? Like, what do you want me
yeah,
to do? You're getting written up, like,
yeah.
you know,
That's what.
so things
Nothing
like
I can
that.
do.
But
Nothing I can do about it, eh?
no, and it's funny. So I don't know. Have you ever been in a union? Have you ever dealt with the whole
Yeah,
union side?
yeah. I was at KMC Mining there with 955 operating engineers,
Exactly.
and
So when
I was
you're a union
I
steward,
was a bus manager too for First Canada, and that's first time. Wow, man, that's the worst fucking job I ever had. And first time I ever dealt with the union capacity. Going back into the late '80s, me and a couple other guys, we actually certified a union at a GM dealership back in New Brunswick,
oh,
which
no kidding.
subsequently resulted in the change of ownership of said dealership in question. So, uh,
That's a fight. Yeah.
yeah, that was a bit of a war, but I was 23 years of age and just fucking looking for a fight, right? Just looking
Mm.
for it. Uh, but
Uh,
that being said, yeah, I did 955 operating engineers, but they're in the Mac here, like they're more for the company than they are for the guy. And maybe I'd put it at the feet of my job steward, but yeah, it wasn't much of a union for the employee. I'll put it that way. Does that make sense?
for sure. Yeah. Like we
No. Yeah.
were. I can't remember what uni we were. Anyways, uh, we. The funny thing is, so if you ask any union steward with that works for SMS, um, honestly, ask your steward if he's got any training. And the one thing that I learned as a steward is how many people that aren't trained. And 9 times out of 10, it's just a guy like myself that's just pissed off that he doesn't have a voice.
Yeah.
Um, when you're a union guy, you get told to shut up, listen to what they have to say, and let me do the talking. And it's honestly quite degrading when you look at where I am now. I have my own voice. I'm a charge hand with De Beers. I can speak my own opinions, and if I fuck up, I fuck up. That's on
Yeah.
me.
But see,
But
but
when
you
you're in a
wear it. It's
steward,
on you.
exactly.
Yeah.
But when you're a steward and you're in a union, at least you have a voice and you know what's in front of you. You get more of an elaborate contract in front of you that you can
Yeah.
read and decipher, and then you have tools in front of you by going straight to the union and asking the questions that everybody else has
Yeah.
and getting some clarification on it, right? So, but again, it's you said that it's the union is for the company. The one
Well,
you were
the
recently
one
with.
was I was with. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, what union is it? That's the question. The money that the union is making is coming from the company. So if it comes down to it, the company will burn you if the union will burn you if the company makes sense of it. And that's just the
Yeah.
way it is. I mean, the company has to succeed for the union to make money. And that's a real tough bargain, man. Like it's
Yeah.
you run this fine line with unions, and the way I see it is unions are made for companies with poor management. Now, that's not said for every branch, and it's just a personal opinion of mine, but
Yeah.
it's really tough when you have supervisors just gunning for every
Yeah.
little thing you're doing. Now, you could work 3 16-hour night shifts and you roll back into the shop and you take your safety glasses off, put them aside, put your sunglasses off to drive back out of the shop in for a write
Ha.
up. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. That's where their bonuses come from, right? So, is it right? No. Is there
Yeah.
better ways of doing it? Sure. I mean, is there's 9 times out of 10 from what I've seen, a union has the management of a union has a bonus structure to discipline the guys accordingly. And they're getting cash back from it. So of course they're going to use the union and use safety to back what they're doing. And it's shitty, but from what I've seen, it's true.
So wow, I missed that. So how you're saying union stewards and union business managers are getting paybacks based
So
on safety? I'm not.
so so from what I can tell, the where I've worked, management will get a higher bonus for when they're going after the guys for not doing, say, their slams or
Yeah.
their FLRAs, right? So if a manager sees that you're not doing an FLRA, they're not just going to have a conversation with you. They're going to write you up. They'll be the first ones to write you up for it instead of saying, "Hey, Cam, do your slam or do your FLRA."
Yeah.
You know, they're going to be like, "All right, in my office, here we go." They'll do their write ups or do their things and just
Wow.
pass you on your way, right? And it's a safety thing as well as like
So
9 times out of 10
their
from what I
motivation to move on safety is money.
exactly exactly
I see.
from what I can
I
tell,
see what
that's what
you're
it
saying.
is. But
That's a
is it
perception from
right
your
or
position.
what's that?
That's a perception from your position.
Exactly. That's from what I can see. It's
Yeah.
not to keep the guys. I mean, I've seen guys with 10 years walk out the door for a stupid safety infraction because it was their
Yeah.
last strike. I mean, I was almost one of those guys. So,
Yeah.
like, as soon as I became a steward, these write ups showed up, and then next thing you know, I'm looking for another job. I mean, it's tough, and it's justifiable technically, but it could have been rectified with just a
But
conversation.
it's pretty minuscule. Usually those situations there are usually pretty minuscule, right? Like I've
And you
seen
see that,
in my like you
like
ask
like
Scott
when I've
when you go back you go you go back to work and you're sitting in the truck talking to Scott and you say, "Has Maynard ever gone for a P test?"
I've never asked them that, but I will next time.
you ask him. You ask him, "Has Maynard ever gone for a P test?" Number one, if you're doing shit, you're breaking shit. Guess what?
That's
If you're breaking
that's the
shit, you're
reality
probably
of
going
it.
to go for a fucking P test. And I
Yeah,
broke more
that's
shit and gone for more P tests than you can shake a stick at. Did
same here.
did I get fired over that? No. You know why? Because you want the iron swinging
Exactly.
at the end of the
Like
day. Yeah.
so when
At
I
the end.
when I went from union to non-union, I went up to beers, and immediately it's a different culture. I mean, I made a fuck up going up a ramp that I shouldn't have been driving up. There's a giant sign. There's fucking huge yellow sign saying no light vehicle traffic.
Cam, do not come
And
here. Right here. It says right on the sand. Cam, do
basically,
not
it
come here.
it might as well fucking said that. And it said no
Yeah.
light vehicles, blah blah blah. And well, I
Cam, this
fucking
means
didn't
you.
read it because I was a shovel tech, and I was
Yeah.
just watching where the excavator was walking.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so I drove up this fucking thing, and next thing you know, I'm getting hauled into the office because the operator called me out on it, which is
Yeah.
totally fine. I shouldn't have been on that road. But you go into the supervisor's office, and it was don't drive up the fucking road. That's stupid. The sign's there for a reason. Here's a photo of it. I'm like, fuck. Like, I fucked up. I'm sorry. It'll never happen again. I'll
Yeah.
never drive up
Yeah.
that road.
Yeah.
And you sign a little piece of paper for a verbal warning and you just get on your life, right? Like,
Keep going, eh?
if that was a fucking union, holy shit. That would have been 2 or 3 meetings. That would have been conversations. It would have been a write up for sure. Could have been
Wow.
a dismissal. It's things like that. Or blacklist
Yeah.
from site because you're not a primary mining
Contractor.
technician,
Yeah.
you're a contractor.
Yeah.
So there's
But
a huge difference.
so you're not contractor now. You're part of the family, yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I purposefully wanted to go to a De Beers mine, and I wanted to be a
Yeah.
part of the mining. And the reason why I went to De Beers was money's good. The shift was great. It sucked I got COVID up there, but it's water under the bridge. But I wanted to see what it was like as a mine employee because I've been a contractor all these years as for
Yeah.
SMS. And you go from that to being a mine employee, your perspectives change dramatically, right?
And how? In which
But
ways, Cam?
well, your perspective change as in um, you you see objectives differently. When I
Yeah.
was a SMS technician, I wanted to do that job perfectly, right? Zero comebacks. And when you go up to such a remote mine than where I'm at, you find yourself using a lot of duct tape, gorilla tape, zip ties, overland the shit out of stuff. You get it up so you can keep your bonus going, keep that unit running, right?
Yeah.
Where when I was an SMS tech and I was working like the 980s at Fording River,
Yeah.
I never overlanded one thing. It was
Yeah.
always fix it properly, make sure it's done by the book, and then
Yeah.
record everything that I'm doing. I don't even do time cards anymore, where I was usually doing 3, right?
Yeah.
So it's a completely different world,
So money wise,
right?
like money wise, is it better money union or better money non-union?
Um, it's tough to say, right? Um, union. If I was in Elkford, I'd say the union made more money. Um, Double time for overtime. Um, the benefits were better. I got $5 on every hour worked towards a pension. You always went to work. Uh, like it was in the collective agreement that no matter what, you're getting paid, right?
Yeah.
Until layoffs, right? Which layoffs happen. But like when I was a like a green ass journeyman technician working in Elkford, I was making the same money I am now with a bit of overtime,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
But now I'm a senior shovel tech and I'm working half the year. I rarely do overtime. I did one set
Yeah.
this year of overtime. That was my first time doing overtime in 2 years.
Oh, really?
And I make about the same amount of money, but I don't
Yeah.
want to do any overtime anymore.
Yeah.
I've done the 36 days on and 12 days off and work your ass off and then you get back and your dog's getting fat because you're not exercising him,
Yeah.
right? You don't have a
Yeah.
girlfriend anymore because she left you because you haven't been home for fucking 2 months, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just changing that up is a super nice thing. Um,
Yeah.
as well as
That's
not
pretty
getting
cool.
shipped all
So
over
you're
the
doing
place.
14s up there. That's pretty sweet, eh?
We were doing 3 and 3s,
Yeah.
3 weeks on,
Yep.
3 weeks off.
You get.
I personally, I prefer it, but
Oh, really?
that's
That's
just because of my
pretty sweet.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when I first
Yeah.
got hired on with De Beers. We were 3 and 3 through COVID, Before I showed up, they were 4-4.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Fuck that. That's a long time, right? But 3-3 for
So
me
you get COVID.
would be sweet.
You get COVID when you're up there. Did you get slammed pretty hard? Did you get hospitalized, or just how bad did that get?
I was pretty close. I was down and out for 14 days solid.
Oh
And then it
really?
was like 3 or 4 days of half days because I couldn't call up a haul truck. It was my first
Wow,
set up at
wow,
GK, and I got fucking COVID, which fucking sucked. So yeah,
wow.
it was okay though. I mean, they put me in one of the nice rooms. I was out in the old contractor's room in the back, and then they
Yeah.
threw me up in the nice bigger dorms, right? So it was
Oh yeah.
okay. Meals sucked,
More,
but
more isolation, eh?
it was
What's
something
what's the
different.
food?
But what's that?
What's the food like up there?
Back then it was dog shit, but
Yeah,
now it's quite a bit better. I mean, if I was to compare living out of a hotel with
yeah.
SMS to where I am now, I'll prefer this. I mean,
Oh yeah. Mhm.
the meals are ready there, your lunches are there. They're not 5-star, man. I mean,
Yeah,
it's it, you're up in the Mac where you actually have amenities around. You have Tim Hortons
yeah,
that you can drive to. We
yeah,
got nothing up there. But,
yeah. Straight. There's
so
nothing, eh? Except you guys.
there's there's nothing. There's fucking nothing. Like there's not even fucking trees. Like there is nothing. So
Just
it's a giant tundra, and that's it.
that's it. No
So
cell service or nothing, eh? What? Like you might as well leave your phone home for 14 days.
well, they have Wi-Fi. It
Yeah,
works
kinda,
sometimes.
sorta.
Yeah, yeah,
Enough to
they
see a
do
podcast, eh?
okay.
Enough to see a
Pretty
podcast.
much,
What
yeah.
the hey? Deadly.
Yeah, so yeah, it's all right.
So what are you working on up there for Aaron?
I work on 5500s. We got 3 shovels. We got a 1200 Komatsu, and
Yeah,
then I got two 1250s and two 2000s, and that's all shovel crew deals with. Otherwise, we're mostly Komatsu, all
yeah.
Komatsu gear.
Except 5500. That's
We
right.
can't run those big Bucyrus or P&H fucking shovels up there. We don't have the power. Could
Yeah,
barely leave our lights on at the end of the day, let alone what we do.
yeah,
So,
yeah. It
but
takes
yeah,
a lot of
that's what
power
we're
to
doing.
yeah slam them. But you're not that. How large is that pit up there?
It seems to be growing bigger. It's not very big. We got 18 trucks. That's it.
Oh, it's all right. Yeah, that's not too bad then.
No, it's the smallest mine I've worked for.
Yeah,
Um, I crawled my way all the way through BC,
yeah,
but it's definitely the smallest. Yeah. The pit is deep. The one hole we just finished up, Hearn there shut down, and now we're just closing off the oldest pit we have, and then we're just exploding the one side of the basically the lake. We just basically
yeah.
drain a lake, dig down the lake, get the diamonds, and haul them out. So
Oh, really?
it's a yeah, like it's a I call it a really young mine, but it's coming near the end of its life at this point. I mean, they project 2031 shutdown basically, unless they find something else. So
What's that right, eh?
pretty
So
much,
there's a.
yeah, it's a good place to
So
learn.
are you guys reclaiming as you go?
Nope, no, we're not reclaiming right now. We're too busy pulling the rock out of the earth for now.
Yeah,
It's summer times are a super busy time where we're building shovels and keeping things moving. Same with the haul
yeah.
trucks, and then
Must be a lot
the
of blasting, eh? A lot of blasting.
a lot of small blasts. They do a lot of small blasts there.
Yeah,
It's not like out in the oil sands where you got a 150 hole pattern. Where
yeah,
these guys are running maybe a 15 to 30, from what I can tell.
yeah,
I don't know. I'm a mechanic. I only got 10 fingers, so I can only count that
yeah.
high.
Count
So,
so far, eh? Yeah, like diddly, eh?
so a lot smaller than what I've seen. Like I
Yeah,
remember the first blast I ever watched out in Elkford there, it was an entire ridge line that they
yeah.
have set up, and it just everything goes up, and then
Just
5 shovels walk into
yeah,
it. And next thing you know, you have
yes,
the lineup of trucks behind them.
yeah.
So
Amazing, isn't it, eh?
that is amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Cool. So conflict resolution. What's the difference between union and non-union?
Um, when you're in union tech and say you do get into some conflict, you always have somebody to back you up. Um, for when I was union or when I was a steward, the most important thing I could remember to do is write everything down.
Yeah.
I always kept a daily log of everything I did and the way I did things and who I talked to that day, and that'll get you out of a pinch. Um, but the biggest thing is your union steward basically takes care of it all.
Oh,
The trouble with it is you don't exactly get to say your piece. Um, you could be completely in the right, but it was against policy, and that's what's happened. And there could be nothing you could do about it. Like you're on a job, you have union, non-union. There's a dispute with manpower. A union guy gets sent home. That means what should have happened is the non-union should have got sent home first because the union
yeah.
is in a union site. But all you can do is write everything down, talk to your shop steward. You can't fight anything. So
Yeah.
it's a lot different in that sense. Where when you're non-union, you can do whatever the hell you want. I mean, Elkview site, you couldn't even touch 12 volts. Like you couldn't diagnose a light bulb on an 830 because they classified that as a electrician's
Electrical.
job. Yeah, that was an electrician's job. They check the lights, they change the lights. That's not your fucking problem. With the exception of the engines. The engines were Cummins or back those fucking smoky ass
MPIs.
Detroits. That was their
Yeah.
problem. So, but everything else, 24-volt cabinet, that was all fucking electricians. And there is
Wow.
nothing you can do about it. So
Wow.
you can be completely competent, but that's the way they want it.
Yeah. So that being said, so you get an electrician in there poking around the 24-volt system. How many electricians have you met that are really good with DC?
Uh, very few. Yeah, very few. They definitely like to specialize in their high voltage stuff, but
Yeah.
sometimes they overthink things. I think um,
Yeah.
we're I think we're the first ones to pull up a manual where they'll just wing it. From what I could see, don't shoot
Oh,
me,
really?
but that's from what I could see. Oh yeah, we're the first ones to because we admit that we're wrong. Where
Yeah.
they just know.
Keep
Yeah,
trotting along, eh? They use the
yeah,
force. Is
exactly.
that what they're doing? Use the force.
Well, they got big heads, right? So there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff in there. Yeah, but um, the other thing on unions I found is there's a there's an electrician out in Alfred that I remember, and I called it union meetings, and they weren't official. It was just people bitching about the union, but nothing's ever getting done. And I
Yeah.
found it just super discouraging when you're a young tech and you're walking into your lunchroom because you're just sitting out there building 830s, whatever the fuck you're doing, and
Yeah.
the electrician will just sit there bitching about the unit and how terrible this place is. There is a huge cancer with that, and it's super discouraging. Like you could have the
Yeah.
best place in the world, uh, you get that one guy that is super headstrong union, and it just tears you down, man. I've seen guys leave
Yeah.
because of it, and
Oh,
it's
really?
just oh yeah, that's you get too bad into the politics, right? There's a lot more politics when it comes into a union. You have voting, you have union uh, memoirs that come out. Usually, you have to talk to a union steward often. You're paying union dues, and then if there's layoffs, there's what if they bring in another tech and you don't know about it, and then there's a grievance, and then you have to deal with the grievance side of things. So the politics are a motherfucker. So that's one thing I'm glad I don't have
Is
to
there
deal with
any
anymore.
is there any head of the household challenges that you can find and kind of like do a challenge and get a fucking immunity fucking necklace or anything like that on this shit or what?
I fucking wish. Like it is unreal what these guys will bitch about. I have no idea why. They just sit there for an hour after their fucking lunch and just bitch about the union for a while. And
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do about it. Like
I
Elkford is
think.
so union strong. They threatened to call the union rep on me because I was cleaning the back seat of an 830 so that I could work on it. And then the tech told me to stop doing that because that's somebody else's job. And I'm like, it's 5 minutes. Just throw everything aside. Nope, I'll call the union. fuck it, man. I'm taking coffee then. I don't give a shit. So I'll
Yeah.
just sit back there, let it sit down, and there goes your priorities, right? They'd rather just let something sit down instead of make more money. Doesn't fucking
From
bother me none. I don't
well, the
care.
way that sounds, it doesn't sound like it's very fucking efficient for the business.
9 times 10 and 10, it's not. I mean, if you have to call an electrician out to change out this light bulb, where you're already there as a technician with a ladder that you have to give them
Yeah.
because they don't carry service trucks. They run around pickup trucks half the time. They don't have ladders, so you have to give them the ladder anyways. So now you're paying, 175 to $250 an hour for this technician to bring a ladder out, plus the $1 million you're paying this electrician per year to come change your light bulb. So that doesn't make any sense to me, right? And it makes sense in some standards, like we'll talk about union for a second here. It makes sense in some standards that a new guy has representation, so he's not getting railroaded. That I
Yeah.
completely believe in that. That is, I think HR
Oh, that's a
in a
good.
non-union shop,
That's a good side of it.
yeah, you're not going to get railroaded because
Yeah.
you have a union backup, and usually he's a senior tech on the floor that's got 10 years of experience with his management.
Yeah.
But I think non-union shops should take that in consideration. Where if somebody's getting written up, that charge hand should be right in there with them. I mean, that charge hand is just as liable as anybody else, because he put him on that
Yeah.
job. So he should be sitting there backing him up, right? But saying that that's one bonus to being in a union, there's so many
Yeah.
others that are so negative that people don't like dealing with unions. But saying that, double time for overtime, guaranteed holidays, you know, things like that, that I thought was strictly only union. But when I went to De Beers, like I get 2 weeks a year paid to be at home, and that's non-negotiating. You
Yeah.
take your time off, you go home, right? Like I thought that didn't exist, right?
Yeah.
When I was talking to some of the Atchison boys, it was no, we have to bank our time, right? We use bank time to get off, and then we supplement our income with that. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, why would I want to do the extra paperwork? In fact, the union had that too with
Yeah.
SMS. However, they put a clause in that during certain times of the year, management could completely deny you getting overtime or getting that time off.
Oh, really?
And it could be, oh yeah, they could just completely say no. I can't remember what months they were, but as a non-union shop now, non-union tech, as long as I give them the time to allocate resources to make sure that, say, Scott and I aren't off at the same time, I'm getting that time off,
Yeah.
right? Like you don't see that in union and like with it working for the companies that I've worked for. But here, I'm getting it. So it really comes down to the company you're working for. I think there's a really good
Yeah.
reason why Anglo American or De Beers isn't union, because they're able to treat their guys in a good enough manner that the guys aren't walking to a union being like, help me.
Yeah.
Like, let's make this place union. Well, it doesn't need it,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to deal with that.
Usually, there's a catalyst to incite the requirement for a union, though, right?
Mm,
Right.
for sure.
That is usually precipitated by, like you said, fucking unions are required because of poor management. Right. That's
Yeah,
how
exactly.
that's what creates the birth of it. The bottom line of it. Have you ever have you ever found the way to resolve fucking that negative dude in the lunchroom that's fucking just not happy until he's unhappy? He's kind of like WestJet. You know how WestJet is? They're like, we're not happy till you're unhappy, right? Fucking yeah, one of those WestJet guys, right? That's sitting in the fucking lunchroom. That's what I call them, WestJets, right? And
WestJets, yeah, that makes more sense.
it makes more
Honestly, it
sense,
really
right?
depends on who you're
Like,
talking to, man. Like, you could be talking to just have a guy having a bad day, and he just has something he wants to be pissed off about,
yeah, but the guy
right?
having a bad day that that fucking gets a dog and calls it to beers and kicks it, you can understand that because every now and then he has a bad day. But if he
Yeah,
go in every day and he's always having a bad day, right?
yeah.
Like
It's
my ex wife wasn't happy unless she was unhappy. And that's why she's my ex wife. It's like an anti Maynard, right? Uh, she just wasn't happy unless she was unhappy, right? that was her sole purpose in life was to be unhappy. I'm sure to this day, but at the at the end of the day, we get those guys in every capacity that always they always I put it this way, they always find a problem for every solution.
Yep.
That makes sense? Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
they
for
just
sure.
are not happy until they find that problem, right? But those aren't the
Yeah.
guys to go to the moon. You know what I mean? Those guys don't usually hit amazing standards and set records. If you know what if you know what I'm saying, right? Right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
like you
So
said, it really depends on the guy, right? I
yeah.
mean, you see all walks of life when you're in a mine site. I mean, you know that better than anybody else. You've been in this trade for what, 50 odd years. You're
Yep.
gonna have all sorts of walks of life that come through. Either it's the guy that got spoon fed his entire life, or the guy that started on a farm and now he's pulling wrenches professionally, or an
Yeah. My
electrician or
birth
whatever. Some of the
my
like
my birthday was yesterday, and I have officially been in the workforce for 50 years, a half a fucking century.
Yeah, so you and I are completely at different ends of the fucking table, man. I'm 30,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah. Different ends of the
I'm
spectrum,
fucking
right?
prepubescent for fuck's sakes.
My 65th birthday, I'm jerking a fucking propelled transmission out of a 4100 shovel with an audience. People are watching
What
me, and I
the
never told them.
fuck?
And I never told them it was my birthday until about 3:34 in the afternoon. I said, "Well, you should have taken it easy today." Well, why would these guys even leave someone in their mid 60s be doing this crap? Why do you just put me on a telehandler, you bunch of jerks, right? Like, right?
Yeah, no, it's a real thing, man. I mean, uh, I remember talking with a tech there. It was last set. There was a tech that ended up leaving here, and the supervisor came up behind him and said, "Make sure if you need anything, you come see me. I'll get you extra guys." And without a fucking breath, the tech just looked behind him and said, "Why? So somebody else can watch me fucking work? I'm okay with that. Nah, I'm good." there's
Yeah,
just there's two different sides of that, right? You got the PM crew, and then you got the guys that are gonna go out there and get the fucking job done, right?
job done. Yeah,
So
that's right. Yeah, response and PM guys, two different games. Two different games.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like that,
There.
I think the reason why I worked out so well in the union environment is because I just worked my fucking ass off. Like I worked. Like I
Yeah.
There were some days where I worked 16-hour days but only billed for 14, right?
Yeah.
Because I was helping out the guys, but it wasn't approved, right?
Yeah.
So, it really comes down to the individual. I mean, there was at one point where I was just working just because I could, and the
Yeah.
guys were having a bad day, so I went out and gave them a hand. But on the other side of things, does it benefit me in any way? No, fuck, my back's fucked already, but whatever, fucking send it, got some money to
It's
make. So
it's, it's
it
what it
really
is,
comes
right?
down to the individual in this economy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I know what you're saying there, my friend. I know
yeah,
what you're saying there.
yeah,
But
union, non-union, you're gonna get placed where you deserve, and
yeah.
whether that's doing something where you don't want to be doing it, or being out where you're really pushing the limits of what your knowledge is. I
Well,
mean,
same as guys
I
get punted to the gate and stuff, or kicked to the curb, or fucking shit can, whatever you want to call it. I would say 95% of guys that get shit canned have done it to themselves. In so
yeah,
many cases I have seen over the years, they just done it and done it and done it, and then
yeah.
not.
Whether it's bad attitude that started on their way, or it's just safety because they wanted to be cowboys. It's safety
Yeah.
infraction after safety infraction. There's a
Yeah.
time and a place for everything.
Yeah. Do you find
There
Scott's a
was
bit of a cowboy?
Well, he told me about a story about you actually. He said that you really know how to drive a loader, and
For
from one
a
end to the other,
988, a 988.
push that pin, man. Oh yeah, I got it. And then those other boys up in their lunchroom decided to talk to safety, eh?
Oh, 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 that.
Yeah, that was fucking funny. He told me that their last set was fucking quite entertaining. So kudos
Yeah,
for you. I
yeah.
mean, shit, that's like
We does.
getting a shotgun BB fucking shot into a fucking, a paper glass there, from a
Yeah.
bridge. So good on you.
You gonna want the pin out or
Uh,
not?
well,
you want
exactly, man. No
you
shit.
want the pin out or not? Yeah,
You
we
know,
have.
it's funny because Scott and I were talking about risks and risk management there last set,
Yeah,
and I think, in my opinion, if you're gonna do something sketchy, your supervisor should know, right? It's like,
yeah.
well, you want it done. You got three ways to do this. You want it done fast, cheap, or you want it done now, right? And there's multiple, or done properly, right? And you only
I
get
had a
one out of the three. So what do you want,
we had
right?
an engineer at the oil sands Scott and I were at, and he used to hate it when they'd put these sketchy jobs into fucking night shift. And what you call this? I'd be in the meet. I'd be in the meeting. I look him in the eye and said, "Well, you know what to say. If you can't do it right, do it at
Right?
night."
Do it at night.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Uh,
And we've done some pretty amazing things. And maybe I've seen some. I think 4100 shovel,
oh yeah, yeah. I did.
right?
I did a split
Okay.
on two of them.
So each track pad's 4,500 pounds,
Yep.
brand new, and you have 42 pads per belt, right? I've seen one guy. He pinned the old belt to the new belt, took the dipper, hooked it with a gat, put a wire rope in through the bores on the last pad, and picked it up, roped up, crowd out, and stuck it out and hung it just like a great big ramp and walked into it.
No shit.
Yeah, no shit. Walked right on, man. Yeah, no shit. He showed me the pictures and holy fuck. Where'd you do that? None of your business. They showed me the picture. yeah, yeah. It's amazing, yeah. Pretty cool, man. But, yeah,
No,
guys do weird things sometimes, right?
yeah.
Guys
It's
do
when
weird
you're
things.
at night shift, you feel invincible sometimes. I mean, you definitely have
Well,
less eyes
sometimes
on
you
you.
just
That's
got to
for
make.
sure.
Yeah, but usually, like every time I work with Scott, it seems to get progressively more force, right? So when Scott and I were
Yeah.
supervisors, we had this. We just upped the ante every time, right? So we had the classic situation: the pin won't go in the clam with a 400 shovel, and there was a bunch of guys down in the pit, and they had a 1255 cat telehandler. And they push the pin in, and the pin stops halfway, 2/3 of the way through the bore. Conk comes solid. Come around the other side, conk, cock solid. Right now you're fucked, right? Because your pin's a 2/3 in. You can't run the shovel like that. So now you got to push the pin, right? So what do? Any ideas? Well, if you push the pin,
You
it won't
build a
go.
100 ton strong back and use a fucking press or what?
Come on, we're shovel guys. So we apply. We drive. We start driving in. We drive into the pin, but that's not working, right? So what do we do now? We throw the outriggers down on the telehandler, and then we push as hard as we can. And then we say, well, if we push out, I'll hold it right here. Why don't you swing the shovel a little bit into the fork?
Yeah, smack up
And
and
why?
down on it. That helps too.
Yeah, and then at the same time that I'm going to jib out while you're swinging the shovel into it. And then what happens next is the boom on a 1255 will collapse. And then Scott will go down with a couple other team leads, load up all the trucks for P tests. and you'll do like $150,000 damage to a Caterpillar telehandler. Yeah,
Fuck. I've never
but
done
you
that
see,
one before. That's a good one.
I wasn't involved in it because I was on outages at main pad, but Scott was in the field. You ask Scott about that when this guy's on shift next week.
I will.
Is yeah, it's like the whole crew went. Like there were about 8 guys. 8 guys went for a P test on that one, and yeah, and we didn't write
I
off
think
the telehandler.
he's gotten quite a bit more tame with his old age. I think I'm constantly calling him old man nowadays. So
Are you
he's lost
really?
quite a bit of hair up there. Oh yeah, I call him old man all the time. It's fucking hilarious.
You
So
just say, hey, you got the same
he's
haircut
got
as Maynard now, right? Hey, same hair, same
basically,
haircut as
yeah.
me.
He
Yeah,
he
excellent.
takes he takes pride in his hot shaves now. He likes going to get his hot shaves, so he doesn't
Oh,
have
hot
to
shave.
always
Guess
fuck his head.
way.
No, he gets
Oh
hot shaved.
my. Gets
Yeah.
his nails done at the same time.
Well, they recently stopped giving him overtime, so he kind of had to do something with his time. So he couldn't get mani pedis. So
Oh, mani petties, eh?
Not shaves and a mani-pedi, yeah. But I think now at his old age, he's gotten a little less cowboy. But if you give him the
Yeah.
opportunity, he'll do what he wants to do there. Yeah.
I can't see Scott any other way than cowboy.
Well, I think I've toned him down a little bit.
Yeah.
there's
How'd
there's
you do
always a
that?
different way. There's always a different way of doing. Oh, I'm fucking loud. I mean, the guys that
I
are gonna
used
watch this, they're gonna laugh because yeah,
to
I'm
laugh.
pretty loud in them. Yeah, I
Well,
get it. It's either my way or the highway, unless you convince
since
me. Because
since I'm trashing
it's
Scott, he's not on the podcast. He didn't want to come on the podcast. Since we're
put him on the
trashing him,
spot, man. Yeah,
I
I
would,
just put him on the spot.
yeah, I would always tell him, hey, Scotty, you don't have to be so rammy, man. You don't have to be so rammy. Just back out of her a bit, right? I'd always lecture him, like you can finesse it. Line up the board better. You don't have to ram it with 988 all the time, right? You can things will go together. So I'm
No,
on the outage pad. I got to tell you this story. This beautiful war story. So I'm on the outage pad on day shift, nights on Scott's shift, or Scott's on night shift, and we're about to put a
that is
four.
Scotch shift. It is night shift is Scotch shift. We should just
Seems
rename
to
it
be,
Scotch
eh?
shift.
Scott's shift, yeah. So the guys that give me a call, I'm in the office. Hey, Maynard, we can't get the pins to go in the 400, pin in the clam, right? And they run into the same problems that happened in the mine, where the pin goes in 2/3 the way, slides right in, and then comes cock solid, right? On both sides, same place, same depth. I know what the problem is now, but I didn't know then. And we promised this stupid Maynard, promised that to be back up that night for operations, blah, blah, blah. The sand's going to melt. We got to dig it tonight. So anyway, yeah, we'll get it for you. There we are, 3 in the afternoon, and the guys are hitting it with the 988 loader, little cat loader, right? Little, hey, that's mining, little cat loader 988. And so the guy got in it. I'm down on the ground here now. Randy's up in the cab. I'm on the radio. Okay, Randy, you swing, him drive. The same thing as the 1255 set with the 988 now, right?
Holy
And
fuck!
it's not going, but he's not hitting it hard enough with the 988. So I tell Buddy up the cab, I said, hit it harder with 988. He says, everything's rattling up here. I just let her in park. I'll make her rattle. So I hopped up in the cab and I'm going to send it, right? Well, so I laid into it with one heck of a smash, and the pin jumps in, right? And at the same time I was smashing that, Scott was coming in from camp. The labor went to pick him up to bring him to his office, and he was in a Ford Flex. And they stopped at the same time I smashed that. And I looked to my left, and there's Scott in the Ford Flex. Big thumbs up.
Holy
Yeah,
fuck!
big thumbs up, man. That was nice faster than the
Holy
other one.
fuck!
And I tried to sneak back into my office, which is past his office. So he's got the corner office for response, and I got to go past him, the electrician's office, and then there's the outage office. And I'm trying to sneak by him, and hey, I told you sometimes you're going to get a little rammy. Yes, Scott,
Holy
sometimes we
fuck!
have to. But yeah,
The,
so
the
that one come
the
back
boom didn't
come
fall
back to
over on
haunt
the
me.
988 when you did that.
No, sir, man, we just smashed right through and away we go. Said the problem was that 988 wasn't big enough. That's why you need 992.
Yeah, there's always bigger tools for the job, right?
Always a bigger tool, yeah. So once we had
Yeah,
992, things managed to push in a lot easier sometimes. But yeah, that's kind of cool.
I suppose. Yeah,
But yeah, it's
cross thread
tough.
is still threaded, and that's the same thing with pins.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, pretty
Yeah.
brutal, eh?
Oh fuck,
Yeah.
that's mining, man. That's shovel crew. I mean,
Yeah.
it
So you
is
had
what
to
it is. Send it back together.
if you had to do it all over again, Cam, would you go the union route or would you go the non-union route?
Oh, I would do the same thing
You
I
had to
already
do
did.
it all over. You would have done the same way, eh?
Oh yeah, no, I think SMS as a company is a great company. I mean, I
Yeah.
personally love that place. I mean, the morale around what you do and the product support you can give is fucking amazing. And then the people that you meet are next to none experts in their field. Like
Yeah.
A lot of the guys that I worked with 10, 15 years with just Komatsu gear.
Yeah. They know their
Um,
product, eh? Yeah.
they know their product, and the morality around the guys that I worked with, like being in a union, that you're a brother, right? You're a bro, right? Like come over for
Yeah.
fucking steaks the next day, right?
Yeah.
But there's animosities between it, like with Elkford. Um, the reason why they came up with this 12 and 12 shift was to get people from other provinces or people from farther away because they weren't getting enough techs on site. And instead of just staying with a 7 and 7 or 4 and 4 is what they were. There was two shifts. There was a 4 and 4 shift for the locals, lived in Elkford, Sparwood, and then you had
Yeah.
the 12 and 12, which I applied for. Right. So there's a bit of animosity between the locals and the guys that are coming in. But all in all, like that's just bullshit, right? That's
Yeah.
just something to bitch about, right? That's the coffee room
So,
bullshit, right? But yeah, I do it this exact same time and time again. Could I have done things differently? Could I have not said fuck off in certain spots of my career? Sure. Everybody has regrets on things
yeah.
that they've said, but ultimately it's the guy I am today. So
Yeah.
I'm happy with who I am, and personally I wouldn't change a thing. Like when I went from being an apprentice to working, you know, 7 days a week to come up with 100 grand a year, to
Yeah.
working in mining, to working half the year or a little bit more, to making
Yeah.
150, $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
Shit, I wouldn't change a fucking thing. I think
Yeah. There you go.
the uh, um, the roots of where I came from, like not making that top dollar. Personally, I don't think there should be any apprentices in mining.
Yeah.
Um, like I think hiring out of contractor and bringing them into the mine, that's one thing. But
Yeah.
you get the specialized technicians that are coming in that have their own backgrounds, and that's what they're going to work with. I think there's a time and place for all of it.
Yeah.
However, the roots that I came from, not having the budget to change that transmission, or we can't afford to change all the brake linings on this, you know, 24 low today, but we'll do it next
Yeah.
month. You know what I mean? We can
Yeah.
make things happen like that, and it creates a better technician than fuck it, replace the whole trailer, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't
Yeah.
have
Yeah. Yeah.
money. And when you're working from some shithole, down in Kingesley, Saskatchewan, trying to piece together two trombones, you know,
Yeah.
to make it to work, you know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
you're working on, $15 million shovels to $20 million shovels, where there is a budgetary constraint, which Scott's told me a few of the things that you guys had to deal with back in the day. But
Yeah.
you're talking about millions of
Yeah.
dollars
Yeah.
rather
Move the
than
decimal point.
100,000.
Move the decimal point. Yeah.
Exactly. You're moving that decimal point. So, I
Yeah.
mean, look, when you go from working from like on Kubota tractors, like this is like barnyard bullshit tractors, zero
Yeah.
turn lawnmowers. Okay, you're
Yeah.
changing fucking lawnmower blades for $25 an hour, some
Yeah.
shithole fucking shop. It might as well be a
Yeah.
hole in the ground. And then you go
Yeah.
to the hole in the ground where all the money's coming from, and you're like, fuck, man, I love this 200 grand a year. I just bought myself
Yeah.
another pickup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I
Wonder if they
wouldn't
get the blades changed on my mower yet.
exactly right. Like I gotta get my
Yeah,
own fucking mower
you
blade
won't
change.
even do it for yourself then, right? You say, "Here, change my fucking blades." I hate that
Yeah,
fucking shit.
I just buy a new fucking mower. Or my buddy
Yeah, yeah.
always just buys those autonomous fucking mowers, and that's what he uses. He just changes the little
Oh,
razor blades in
yeah.
them. But
Oh, so it's got like the Joe Biden navigational package. It just moves around like a Zumba all the
yeah,
time type of thing. Yeah.
yeah, he fucking loves the things. They mow his yard for him during the summer, and then when he gets kind of pissed off because he's got this one apple tree that he
Yeah.
doesn't get around all the time, and he gets pissed off at the lawnmower for it. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I get
Deadly.
fucking mad at the autonomous lawnmower you bought, you fucking cheap fuck. Like, like you can't get mad at that thing, man. Like it's autonomous,
Fucking
man. You
deadly.
taught it. But
Brutal, eh?
like, yeah, no, I wouldn't. I don't regret a fucking thing, man. Even all
Yeah.
the write ups and all the bullshit that I've been through being a steward.
Makes you
You
who you
know,
are today, right?
shit, you got to start from somewhere. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I love all the companies that I've worked through. I have nothing against them, right? All the
Yeah.
branches and the managers and superintendents and all the people that I've been through. I mean, I work my fucking ass off, and I hope everybody that I've worked for shares my admiration for it. But fuck, man, I
So
mean, you got to be a hard ass and really beg for what's right in your
yeah,
mind, then just stand down and say fuck it. Okay,
yeah.
whatever.
Well,
You got to fight for what's
I,
right.
yeah, you got to do the right thing. That's right. You're a wise man to do that, right? So I believe anyway.
Exactly, for sure.
But you know what I got to do? I'm gonna do a shameless plug here right now, though. I'm not monetized, but guess what? You know that West Cheddar that's in the lunchroom that's pulling you down? There are ways to solve that. And guess what? Also an author too that wrote a book, Onward Buttercups, and that's going to be released. It's at the publisher right now. We're trying to get it on the market for Christmas here, folks. So not only are we having a podcast, we've got a book coming out to deal with team issues, how to build teams, all kinds of neat stuff written by yours truly. So we'll be promoting that in the future with a follow-up book to that as well. Into 2026, I will be building courses that you can purchase online to solve these problems, as well as the phone app. I'm going to design a phone app and have that follow up with the next two books coming. So pretty cool. That's my little plug for today. Cam, this has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Good
You
day.
get
Yeah.
back to site. You get back to site. We'll
You
talk
betcha.
again.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm pretty confident we're going to talk again, my friend. So, but yeah,
Sounds good
I'll
to
give
me.
you more stories. I'll give you more stories about Scott to throw ahead. Anyway.
I'll let him know that, and I'll see what he comes up with.
That's still good. So, audience, the guys all tuning in the podcast, thanks so much for listening again. Once again, Cam, thanks so much for coming on, man. A good subject. I didn't know
You
how
bet.
we're going to really approach this, but it just kind of flowed naturally. So that's the way I like to see it go down. Anyway, once again, I'm on Spotify. Easiest place to get me is on Spotify, YouTube. If you want to see this in video, so if you're a night shift, just listen to it. You want to check it out. Also, Apple Podcasts. I'll be posting some episodes there. And if you want to get a hold of me and be on the show, Cam, how hard is it to do?
Yeah, it's
Not
pretty
too hard,
fucking
man.
easy.
So if you
Yeah.
got something to say, this is your place for your voice, man. If you've got something you want to talk about, I'm more than happy to listen. Once again, I'm on Facebook, Maynard and Cam Gears of Trust podcast. Like to see you there. By all means, reach out. Cam, once again, thanks so much for getting a hold of us and getting this done. And we're looking forward to talking to you again. So I'm going to let everybody go for right now. And thank you so much. Talk to you later. Bye bye. Here we go. Bye.